it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will be making 2 cards with 1 stamp set, and they are very, very different. You don't always have to color an image the exact same way. Sometimes it's nice to step outside the box and try something new. So this is new for me. I used this brand new to me ink on 3 fade out ink, and I stamped it onto some craft cardstock. I do have a little guest and I was coloring this with my Prismacolor pencils. She does sit on my lap a while, so if it's going to bother you to see her little hand in there, I'm sorry. But sometimes this is how a mama can get some filming and some crafting done. So what I chose to do here is to color this sunflower in a very sketchy, artistic way. Wanted to include a bunch of colors. I could have just, colored it traditionally. It probably would have taken a lot less time. I also, if I didn't have Adelaide on my lap, it would have taken even less time because she was a handful. And this took me so long, I did end up having to restamp the image because it faded out. So it does do what it says it's going to do. So here I chose to use a purple as my shadow. She is playing with a old cutting plate. The things that you find for them to play with while they sit on your lap is sometimes kind of, everything's pointy and sharp, so I had to be careful. Anyway, so back to my coloring. She she sat on my lap for quite a while. I used a purple as an undertone. When I color with yellow with my Copics, a lot of times I use a purple or like a blue violet underneath, and I wanted to see if it would work with this image. And here it had already started fading out enough that I had to pull out the packaging so I could look at the image because I just wasn't sure where the lines were. It had taken me a while trying to fight with her in color, and I have 2 other little boys running around the house at this time, and they needed all the things. So here I was trying to add a little more definition and color into this image. This is totally out of the box. See here I had to restamp because it had faded out enough. And then it wasn't exactly lined up, which didn't matter because it does fade out. It just needed the idea of the lines. And because I was using no line coloring, if I didn't stay within those traditional lines, it was fine because nobody would know when my lines fade out. So here I was adding a little more of that purple to these sunflower petals. Sunflowers are all different colors. They aren't always the yellow gold colors. But I don't think I've ever seen one with blue, and this is a dark blue, and I thought I would incorporate some of that blue in there. I thought that would be kind of fun. And I was tipping all of the petals with the light yellow and then adding a little more orange. It was lines. I was using like flick lines kind of. And then here with the white pencil, I was going over the edges of the petals that were on top. So if it was underneath, I didn't trace around the edge. It kind of adds a little more dimension to my image. I do have another white pencil waiting, but I'm going to use this one until it's almost gone or until it's gone enough. So here I slowed this down so you could see just how artistic and graphic that did end up being. And then when I went into the center, I used browns like like they traditionally look, and I went over the lines. And then I did add more blue because blue is a really good undertone with the brown. And I thought that it worked well with the coloring that I already had. And then I decided to go over the entire thing with tiny little circles. Not dots, but circles. And then I went through with the different colors and added the circles just for some texture in the center because that's where all the seeds are in the sunflower. And then I decided to work on the leaves, I used a green combination, and I also pulled in some teals because the teal would play nicely off of the purple. I thought that would be fun, and because the sunflower was so artistic, I thought that it would be nice if the leaves also looked artistic. So I did leave all of the coloring in because, well, I was kind of all over the place as far as style. I don't know, and I didn't want to cut any of it out. I worked really hard on this card. So most of the time I went around where the lines would be with a darker color and then filled in, making sure that I had, like a shadow where the flower hung over the leaf, and then used the white or a very light color on the edge of the leaf that is over top, just like I did on the other sunflower or on the sunflower petals. So this one's a little easier to see exactly how I did it. I outlined this with the dark teal and then added the dark green, back to shade with the dark teal, added a little bit of dark blue, came in from the edges with the teal, and then did the white. So here for these little branches, I pulled in this light purple. It is the same purple I used in the sunflower. Purple and yellow are a really beautiful, like royal looking combination. And then here I forgot there was this little branch here, so I did that with the dark maroon color and a dark blue, and added some highlights with the white. So there is the image all colored, nice and close. I do like how it turned out. It's really pretty and artistic looking. Something I normally don't do. So then I was deciding if I was using this Thankful image. I will say something that I never knew before. I set this stamp down on my colored pencil image, and when I picked it back up, it actually had colored pencil residue on it. It was weird. I've never seen that before. I even tried to rub it off because I was like, that is different. So here I used my anti-static powder bag, and I stamped twice with my Versamark ink. Wanted to make sure I had a nice crisp image because I'm going to use gold embossing powder, and I wanted to make sure that it was sticky enough that I would get a really nice embossed sentiment. So here I'm deciding how I'm going to use this. I took a piece of purple cardstock that came in the Scrapping for Less kit and trimmed that down, and then used this Stampin' Up! Embossing folder. I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, but I used this wood grain one, and I ran that through my machine, and then I decided that I was cutting this image down into a little strip, and I was going to make a very simple, clean looking card. I pulled out some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. I wasn't sure what color I wanted. This one is like a blue, dark blue sparkly. It would have looked good. It would have pulled that blue out, but I decided on gold. And to make sure that I had the right color, I actually slid it under so that I would have like a border of gold where I would put it. And the Love from Lizzie has 3 different sizes, but I have this other sheet of peel-offs. I think it's probably from a Love from Lizzie kit. And they're all the same size. I've had them for a very long time. They actually don't have as much stick on them anymore. So you'll see when I do end up turning this over, I do tape down the edges because they didn't want to stay stuck. So if you have peel-offs in your collection, maybe keep an eye on how long you have them, because I think the sticky goes bad on that stuff. So this was basically it. See here I put some just some tape, some clear tape on it. Then here's the second card. I used my Ink on 3 blackout ink this time because I'm going to color this with Copics. It's a really beautiful image. I can think of all sorts of different uses for this, but I wanted to try 2 very different styles in this video because, like I said, you don't always have to stick to one coloring medium or one way of coloring. I did, however, use a BV as my shadow here. I don't know if it comes off really well. I think if I would have skipped this E99, you might see it more, but I did use that BB there in the shadows. So this is just a really nice fall combination of golden tones that I used. I didn't add anything fun to this one, maybe some red later, but no blues or purples or anything like artistic. This is more traditional sunflower. And my Copics, I color up images fairly fast. Them colored pencils took forever. I mean, yes, Addie was sitting on my lap, but it took a long time for me to color that. Like that fade out ink actually faded out. I think it lasts a while before it does. So here I had all my coloring done, I guess, and I decided to add some orange to brighten it up. I do really like what that did to the image. It definitely added some orange tones. And then for the center, I went in with my base color and added my shading and blended it all back out. So it looks like it is domed up in the center. I used my YG60s to do the leaves on this one, which is more of a traditional, I guess, fall green color in my mind. More muted, a little more earthy than some of the other like bright greens that are in the green family. And I really liked how that played against the golden tones. And then I did jump outside the traditional box and I used a BG here for these leaves. I think those like branches kind of do have a more blue-green tone in real life. So I did use a rounded stitched rectangle to trim out my image here. Didn't want a fussy cut at all. And I wanted it to be more of an elegant card. And I pulled out the Trinity Stamps like clay embellishments from the kit, and this ladybug was just a little too pink for me, so I colored it with my Copic marker. It matches now, and you know, you can do that. You could color the little flowers any color that you wanted to. So here I just trimmed this burgundy red panel and this swirly panel. This was my favorite in that whole kit when I was deciding what I wanted to do. And I chose to just heat emboss this Thankful down here near the bottom. I did use a different embossing powder. I used Ranger Copper embossing powder. I thought it played nicely with the reds and the burgundies and like the tones in the flower. And I didn't have too much warping. I was really careful. This paper, it's like got this shine to it and it's more plasticky feel. So it doesn't always emboss the greatest, but it worked. There I was trying to decide if I wanted to add a little bit of that aqua. It was just too far off from the tone that I used when I colored those branches, or I probably would have added that color. I could have taken it and Copic matched it, you know, rubbed Copic marker on the edge, and I didn't want to. So here I adhered down my panel with my sunflower with a little foam tape, added my cute little ladybug that I altered the color for, and that is my second card. So there'll be some still shots here at the end. Oh, I did put brown cardstock behind the red. So again, here's some still shots at the end. I am curious to see which card that you liked better. What is more your style? Which one jumps out at you? Do you play with your colored pencils like that? Are you really good at them? Do you have tips for me? I would like to talk to you more about that. So these are two cards made from the Scrapping for Less Fall 2019 or Fall is Coming 2019 kit. They are 2 of 8 cards that I made. All the other videos are up on my channel. There should be a video on your screen now if you'd like to continue watching, and have a great day. Thanks for stopping by.